Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, A21 Love, here bringing you your AEW Dynamite review for August 12th, 2020. It was a solid show, you could say. Ended on a so-and-so note. I'll get to that later. The finish of Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. Two $7,000 obligation match. Um, it was Tag Team Appreciation Night. We had the Rock and Roll Express along with Arn Anderson. Tully Blanchard was there as well. We also had two title matches. We had Hangman Page and Kenny Omega defend against Jurassic Express, as well as Cody defending the TNT title against Scorpio Sky. Get all that and more. Uh, If you're new, like and subscribe and click that bell to get my notifications. First off, I want to shed light on the schedule for the next 2 weeks for Dynamite because due to the NBA playoffs, of course, usually Dynamite is on Wednesdays. However, the next Dynamite will not be on next Wednesday's show. It'll be featured not this Saturday, but next Saturday, same time, 6 o'clock, due to the NBA playoffs, and then in 2 weeks it'll be on Thursday. I believe same time, 6 or 7 p.m. So there's that. I did also catch up on the Deadly Draw tournament, which are on Monday. So apparently, and they also announced Diamante and Evilise. They defeated the librarian Leva Bates and her partner to win and be in the semifinals, as well as I think it was or no way, I think they Big Swole and her daughter beat them, and then Evilise and Diamante they defeated. Nonetheless, they qualified, and so the semifinals will be Evilise and Diamante versus Tainara, Conti and Anna Jay, as well as the Nightmare Sisters to face up against Big Swole and Lil Swole. So those are that. I did also catch up on AEW Dark. Butcher and Blade beat SCU in the main event. So that was interesting. So with all that, let's get into Dynamite, shall we? So Tag Team Appreciation Night started off on with Tag Team Wrestling, of course. So the Dark Order face off against the Young Bucks. This was a pretty solid match to open the show. It was mostly, the starter match was Nick of the Young Bucks getting singled out. He was then there was a hot tag to Matt. Then he cleaned house. Was a neck breaker by Evil Uno. He was taunting Nick while he's on the apron, and then Nick hit serial super kicks on both Uno and Grayson. And then there was a point where Grayson was out into behind the barricade, and then while he was trying to be back into the ringside area, he got caught with a super kick. Nice spot. Then a risky business by Young Bucks for a 2 count. Nick actually hit a swanton. Stu Grayson, he is, yeah, they talked about how both Dark Order were underrated. Stu Grayson is really good. He's on the level of Phoenix, but he's close. Grayson, he walked on both Uno and I believe it was Matt, and gave Nick Jackson a Hurricanrana. Nice spot. Uno, they do this vintage spot. Uno hits the cannonball on one of the opponents, and then Grayson hits a 450. He has a beautiful 450 splash for a 2 count. And then Grayson, he took Matt Jackson, he threw him out of the ring, he threw him into one of the tunnels, and then at the end of the match, the rest of the Dark Order, 6, 5, they were blocking off the tunnel to make sure Matt didn't get back in the ring. Of course, they couldn't attack him because they would have gotten disqualified. So the Dark Order went for the fatality, but Nick countered, rolled up Evil Uno for the win. Grayson, he almost got there, but not in time. Was a solid win for the Young Bucks. Keeps going. Grayson and Uno, it's only their second loss in AEW. However, they still look strong. So I'm intrigued where both teams go as we head to All Out. But solid way to start the show. MJF, he had another address. He had another campaign going tonight. So he was out. He said that Moxley is afraid of change, and MJF, he apologizes for Moxley's absence. He says that he wants to make it more comfortable for Moxley. So they put the stand to the side, and then MJF, he lied on the mat, and he was talking to the Skycam up above, and then he said that Moxley is not a leader, he's a dog, and that we deserve better. And that all of a sudden, Moxley's music hits, and he sends his campaign man and Wardlow to the stands on the concourse to try and block out Moxley. And Moxley, he came out the more conventional way. He came out through the tunnel, blindsided MJF, hit a brutal paradigm shift. MJF, and, MJF sold it well, and Moxley went back to the tunnel and they said that they won't be even until he teaches MJF a lesson at All Out. He tried to take something away from him, and the story, it'll be a bitter pill for them to swallow. So I like their first build toward All Out was solid. I'm intrigued how they progress it as the weeks go on, but so far so good for the MJF Moxley build, and can't wait for in 10 days. Um, so we go from that to a interview of Matt Hardy backstage by Alex Marvez. Uh, it was announced that he can't be on Dynamite or he's not clear for 10 days, which is conveniently the next show of Dynamite in 10 days. So, and he said Sammy Guevara will pay and they'll beat him up on the next Dynamite. And then as he spoke to Marvez, he he changed voices. He changed from regular Matt Hardy to extreme Matt Hardy to kind of broken Matt Hardy. And then Marvez asked him, Matt, are you alright? And then he saw some referee that he thought looked like or dressed up like Sammy Guevara, and he attacked the referee. Um, and then officials held back Matt Hardy. Uh, so clearly, we're going to get a different transformation of Matt Hardy next time he and Sammy face. Clearly, it's going to be a different version for when they face again, whether it's All Out. But I can't wait to see. So next we had first of two championship matches. We had Cody versus Scorpio Sky. This was interesting. They showed Scorpio Sky's entrance. There was a prop door in front of the tunnel that said no admittance, and 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 Scorpio, he knocked on the door and came out the ring. That was a nice part of his entrance. Uh, his theme music, you can give or take. It's whatever, but they showed his record 7-1 on Dark. And then Cody, he came out with the Nightmare Family, which was interesting. He had QT Marshall, he had his brother, he had the Nightmare Sisters, he had Arn all come out. It's good to see QT Marshall back. I mean, the Natural Nightmares, they did have a match on Dark, but still, it's good to see all of them back because QT, he tested positive for COVID, so that was nice. But the match overall was pretty solid. There was a superplex in which Scorpio Sky countered for a 2 count. Cody, he had Crossroads for a 2 count. Sky kicked out of Crossroads. Sky hit like a pay dirt for a 2 count. When Sky went for a cutter, he missed, and Cody hit a second crossroads for the win. Afterwards, we got a challenge from, also to mention, the belt we saw in his finished form tonight on Dynamite. Looks cool. The gold plates. I mean, looks fairly small though, but nonetheless, it was cool to see. Afterwards, we saw on the Titantron Brodie Lee. He challenged Cody, accepting the open challenge next time on Dynamite. Said Dark Order's on a roll, and the Elite they took out, and that when he takes the title, he'd be so gladly to give the. I'm not sure if it was the old version, but he said that he give the title back to Cody after he wins the updated version. So should be interesting. Brodie Lee versus Cody. I'm all for it. So next we got the second of two championship matches. We had Jurassic Express versus Hangman and Omega. This was a pretty decent match. Was a chokeslam, setting shooting star by Luchasaurus on Hangman for a 2 count. Kenny, he went wild with the Snapdragons, suplexes on Jurassic Express, as well as hitting Marco with one as well, which got a little ovation out of Taz and myself. There was a fisherman suplex by Omega for a 2 count on Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus, he hit like a windbreaker inverted attitude adjustment or a Death Valley driver for a 2 count. And then at the end of the match, Hangman and Omega, they hit the last call for the win. Jurassic Express, their momentum has been floating around. I think that maybe, well, it's suffering from, well, every team, every wrestler is suffering from no fans, little by little. And Jurassic Express, obviously, when there was fans, they were probably the most over thing in AEW. Now that there's no fans, well, they showed limited fans. They showed that in the main event. But I mean, at the full capacity, there's not much fans, and unfortunately, Jurassic Express. Well, I think their time will come, in the tag team division, but it's just not their time. Um, Hangman and Omega, they've had a long, very good reign over 200 days. It's been fun. Where they go, or who do they defend the titles against at All Out? I mean, I thought originally that Dark Order was going to beat the Young Bucks, and then maybe we get a rematch. Well, at first I thought, okay, maybe you could do FTR, but it looks like FTR is going to face off against the Young Bucks. And then I thought maybe Lucha Brothers, but I mean, maybe they can still do that, but I haven't really seen the Lucha Brothers on as much. And then Dark Order, I thought they were going to win tonight, but that didn't happen. So I like the unpredictability. It's just kind of odd not knowing what's going to happen. That's all you can say. So, Santana Ortiz were backstage responding to the best friends wanting an apology, and they were in the locker room area, and then they basically soiled the best friend's gear uh, in the shower. I'm not sure. Might have been cleaner, might have been bleach. I'm not sure what they poured on, but Santana said, an apology. What are you tripping? And clearly, this is prolonging the feud between best friends and Santana Ortiz. I would love to see another match out of them two teams at All Out. That seems to be the direction. Maybe it's for the number one contendership. And then, well, best friends, I think they're number 3 in the rankings, so that probably wouldn't work, but I still wouldn't mind another match between them two. So, probably the most interesting part, besides Dark Order versus Young Bucks, as it pertains to tag teams, this is probably the most interesting part of the show. The Rock and Roll Express came out, as well as Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard with the Young Bucks and and FTR, and they were all praising each other. Well, before that, actually, there were a few teams they had asked about who are their favorite tag teams, and it was they asked Hangman Omega, and Kenny said the Young Bucks. They asked Private Party, they said the Hardys, kind of expected. They asked Butcher and Blade, I wasn't able to see, but I'll go back and check. But so they got to this segment, and they're praising for what Rock and Roll Express had done for tag team wrestling and what they did. Ricky Martin said of the Rock and Roll Express, he said to the Young Bucks, they're the best tag team today, the last decade. And Arn said that FTR is the best tag team of right now. And Tully came in and it basically went up a notch. He said, well, the teams aren't really, you aren't the best unless you got some gold around their waist. And they said, as of tonight, neither of the teams are the champions. So then Tully got in the Arn's face, and then Shawn Spears came out, and Ricky Morton, he took a shot at Tully, and they were trying to be kept apart. It was a strange situation, and then Dax, he had his knee brace again, Dax Harwood, and he fell down, and he took his knee brace off. Cash was tending to him, and then the Rock and Roll Express were looking at the chaos of the guys being separated on the stage, and then all of a sudden, Cash Wheeler blindsides Rock and Roll Express with Dax's knee brace, and they hit a beautiful spike pile driver on Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton, at his age, still sells like a pro. Clear, and then Hangman Omega came out to try to save, and they were confused on what happened. They said JR said Hangman's definitely not drinking Snapple. So we had that. Clearly, this helped building. Well, I think FTR was treading the waters of heel and face going into tonight. But I think this solidifies their part as a heel tag team. And I mean, throughout the segment, they were talking about who is the best tag team between them two teams. And I think this just prolongs the feud, and whether we get the match between FTR and Young Bucks at All Out or another time, excuse me, they're doing a brilliant job in escalating the feud. And be interesting to see when the match happens and how big it will be. So, after that, another thing I forgot to mention, Mike Chioda, legendary referee of WWE, he was the referee of Scorpio Sky versus Cody. And afterwards, they interviewed Mike Chioda by Alex Marvez, asking about how he felt officiating the match. And Chris Jericho came in and talked about how their history between him and Chioda, and that Chioda owes him. He'll be officiating the match between Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho. So, and he wants Chioda to do the right thing, and Chioda said he'll call it right down the middle. So, interesting to watch out for in the main event. So afterwards, we got Hikaru Shida versus Heather Monroe. The debuting Heather Monroe. This was okay. It was a short match. It was a submission. It was a tied-up submission where Hikaru Shida made Heather Monroe tap. Clearly, Hikaru Shida is the best thing in the women's division. However, until AEW signs more people or women, then, but nonetheless, this was fine. Afterwards, we had another interesting segment that had a weird turn. Jake St. Roberts and Lance Archer, they were in the locker room area. Jake was cutting a promo, and Lance Archer was being some jobbers, some enhancement talent in the background. It was hilarious, just funny, but it took a little weird turn when Archer asked Jake, did you tell him? And Jake's like, no, I didn't tell him. So then Archer, he unbuttons the shirt of Jake Roberts, and then he turns around and painted on Jake Roberts' back, he says, "Everybody dies." And Archer said, everybody dies. So, where does Archer go? First of all, this segment was pretty circle for my take. It was kind of hilarious. While Roberts was kind of a promo and Archer was being jobbers in back round, but I'm curious where Archer goes because kind of seems a little directionless at the moment. This kind of why Hangman and Omega should lose the title soon because they have more to add for the singles division. And Lance Archer and other big stars are kind of being left without an opponent, without direction right now. And, I guess we'll see how the weeks unfold. So for next week, it was kind of a low show. So they announced FTR for his private party. We got the Elite versus Dark Orders 5, 6, and 10. We got Cody versus Brodie Lee versus the TNT Championship. We got the Lucha Brothers and Butcher and the Blade versus Natural Nightmares and Jurassic Express. And we also got Darby Allin in action. So, a little Dynamite for next week. So, after we got the main event, Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy, $7,000 obligation match. The Elite and Best Friends were banned from ringside. So this one. Now, when I was looking at the time left for the match, I saw that there was around 15 minutes left for the match, and I was just like, okay, how are they going to fit this? Because, with the first match, it was around 20 minutes, and I was curious how they were going to fit this match and give it enough time. Realistically, it did not have enough time. You could have taken the match out from Hikaru Shia, Heather Monroe. You could have also see. Other than that, maybe the Matt Hardy interview, maybe just like you could have taken out a few things and given more time for this match, but it was bad timing. It was still okay for what it was. It was a fast start by Orange Cassidy. Then getting into the end of the match, Jericho hit Codebreaker for 2 count. The Best Friends and Santana Ortiz, they went up fighting on the stage. And then while Kyoto, like I said, was the referee, he was distracted. Hager, he hit a slam on Cassidy, and Jericho got pinned for a 2 count. And then Cody, or excuse me, sorry, thinking of the previous match. Jericho, he tried to use Floyd, the bat, and then he told Keela to turn around, um, allowing him to hit Orange Cassidy with the bat. So Keela turned around, and then all of a sudden he took the bat away from Jericho. And Cassidy hit the Superman punch. He hit his super kick, and he went for. And then this is the weird ending of the match, because there were a few botches in the match, but Cassidy, he went for his flail kind of roll up pin that he's used to win a few matches, and I guess bad timing, bad coordination. All Jericho, he wound up on his back, and then all of a sudden they just pinned, or Cassidy pinned Jericho for the 3 count. It was just bad timing and not enough time for the match to breathe, and then all of a sudden the show went off the air. So if there was one downfall of the show, it'd be not enough time for the main event to breathe. I mean, of course, many shows on Dynamite in the past have been the case. Not enough time for the main events to breathe. But still was a solid show. I mean, you had the 2 time matches. You had the Rock and Roll Express segment. It was a solid show. And of course, the open between Dark Order and the Young Bucks. Of course, like I said, next week, the show won't be on Wednesday. So, because of that, I'll probably do, because I like to do my AEW reviews on Thursday and my NXT reviews on Friday. But since the AEW show will be not this Saturday, but next Saturday, I'll probably do my NXT review on Thursday and then have 2 videos, not this Monday, but next Monday, recording, because as well, there's going to be NXT TakeOver 30. So I'll probably combine those 2 reviews for one video. And then I'll do a sports overview topics on that Monday as well. But should be interesting. So, or I'll just keep it on Friday and there'll be no video on Thursday. But I'll figure out something what to do for next week. And then, but nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. That was the show. Like I said, if you're new, like and subscribe. Thank you all. I'll see you all tomorrow for my NXT review. Hope you all being safe and see you tomorrow.